Good evening and welcome to the committee. I think I'm missing the first page of this.
Oh, no.
So I have no preamble. I'm jumping right to the Pledge of Allegiance. If we want to do that and maybe
How about-
circle back.
How about if I call the roll first?
Sounds grand.
Director Ferguson.
Present.
Director O'Halloran.
Here.
Director Reza has asked to be excused this evening. Director Benoit.
Present.
And Chair Simpson.
Present.
That's 4 present, 1 excused. We have a quorum.
All right. The chair will now ask the secretary to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The chair invites any members of the audience who wish to participate to do so and asks that those who do not wish to participate please remain silent during the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And because I really didn't give any preamble, this is the Committee on Student Achievement for the listening audience. This meeting is being conducted in person from the MPS Administrative Services Building. This meeting may also be accessed via the MPS YouTube stream, the link to which may be found on the MPS website on the upcoming meetings page. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Otra vez 312-626-6799. Introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
Thank you. For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. We have no virtual speakers registered this evening. For the sake of fairness tonight and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Disruptive or disrespectful behavior will not be permitted. If it occurs, the meeting may be paused and those involved may be asked to step out so we can continue in a safe and productive manner. Thank you for helping us ensure a positive experience for everyone. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help with our message from one of our young readers, Harper, who is a 7th grade student. Or maybe we don't have Harper joining us this evening. No? Okay, would you like me to read Harper's? Is that okay? The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public comment period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional comments will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record. I won't do the part the students do because it's too cute when they do it. Will not be very cute with me. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 53201-2181, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Madam Chair, item 1 is report with possible action on services provided to students with disabilities in the least restrictive environment. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would administration please present this item?
Chair Simpson and members of the committee, Brenda Casella, Superintendent. This evening, Dr. Travis Pinter will provide an overview of the LRE, which is Least Restrictive Environment for our Students with Disabilities, report as he walks us through this attached information. If you have any questions regarding this item, we'll be happy to answer those following the presentation. Dr. Pinter?
Thank you, Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Travis Pinter, Senior Director of Specialized Services. It's nice to be here with you again. The LRE data is now reported to the board twice a year. The June report that you have in front of you provides a snapshot of the time period from December of 2025 through May of this year. And referencing the first attachment, LRE report, you'll note that the three indicators associated with LRE, and I always just like to provide this reminder, 5A, B, and C. The state has set a threshold for each indicator that we're aiming to surpass, and you'll see our data below the thresholds. In the case of 5A, it is a minimum, so we aim to be above that percentage. In the cases of 5B and C, it's a maximum threshold, so we aim to be below. I am pleased to report that we continue to be well within our target for indicators 5 and C, with steady progress in lowering B. Due to the number of students we have in special education in the district and the incremental changes statistically, it's sometimes difficult to sort of see this even with spacing it out over several months. So I'd like to also include just some actual numbers of students, and I had to kind of go multi-year to do this, and I did this last time and just kind of checked it again. When you consider the numbers over the last year since May 2021, so about the last 5 years or so, or around the length of time I've been reporting on it anyway, what those numbers represent in 5A is 800 additional students that are now included in that category, 650 fewer students included in B, and if you remember, we're trying to lower that one, and then about 20 fewer students in C. That's a very low number because the percentage is so low. So sometimes that can help to know the actual numbers. As usual, our special education managers, supervisors, and our program support teachers continue to reinforce the principles of LRE on an ongoing basis throughout our meetings, professional development, and through our compliance metrics, such as those we'll be discussing later in the fall when I'm back for RDA PCSA. That concludes my report on LRE, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any members of the public wish to make comments tonight?
We do not have any speaker slips on this item.
Wonderful. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director O'Halloran.
Thank you, and I do appreciate that you let us know, because I can never remember the above or below target goals. Would that be something that you can add? Because it comes in this table, I think since as long as I've been on the board, if it would be possible to just add should be below or above, just so it's really intuitive and plain for anybody viewing that, that would be great. Thanks.
Administration, any response?
Yeah, Director O'Halloran, Chair Simpson, members of the committee, that's very easy to do, and I think it's a good suggestion. I'm not sure why it's taken this long. I say it each time so we can just add it to the table.
Yeah, thank you so much. Love when there's an easy fix. Any other committee members? Mr. Chasen.
Thank you, Chair Simpson, Matt Chasen, OAE. When we look at the additional counts and percentages that appear in the additional attachments, the codes A and the code C, it ties out precisely what's in the narrative summary, but code B in both documents has a 12.19%, and I don't know if that's a feature of maybe the reporting snapshot. I'm presuming there's probably a reasonable explanation for why that number is different. I'm just going to let you offer it here.
Administration.
Sure. Mr. Chasen, Director Simpson, members of the committee, yes, that's a good catch. That is always the case, and that has to do with you'll see schools in there that are charter schools that are included, and not all the schools, as our public examples do, have the same exact unit types, and so we have to go on that metric. So you'll find it on that totals page, just in a slightly different spot, and that's why that one varies.
Good. Any follow-up? Nope, we're good. Okay, any other comments from committee members? Seeing
Director
none. Oh, I'm sorry, administration.
Chair Simpson, directors, I just want to thank Dr. Pinter for his good work in this area. As you know, we are in the process of having a special ed audit, And I think that's going to bring back a lot of really good information, not only on this item around least restrictive environment, but also just on how we are concentrating students within our programs and how we're evaluating our students and how we're serving our students and making sure that they get their service minutes. So there's a number of other items outside of least restrictive environment that we ought to be reporting on. And so I just want you all to know that we're committed to bringing that report and then making the changes necessary that come out of that audit. So thank you.
Thank you for that reminder about that report. I know a lot of people are really interested in seeing that, and it will really kind of help us steer us in the right direction. So thank you. Looks like we're done with that item. So Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 2 is transmittal of and possible action on the Achievement Gap Reduction Program's end of semester report. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would administration please present this item?
Chair Simpson and members of the committee, Brenda Casella, Superintendent. The Student Achievement Guarantee in Education, SAGE program, established under Wisconsin statute in 1996, later transitioned to the Achievement Gap Reduction, AGR program, followed state legislation in 2015, and since FY17, participating schools have implemented AGR strategies designed to support early literacy and academic success. To present our presentation this evening, I'm joined by Supervisor Allison Foyer, supported by Manager Chrissy Washington, who I'll now turn it over to. Thank you.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Good evening, Chair Simpson and other members of the committee. I'm Allison Foyer, Early Childhood Supervisor, and I'm here to provide an end-of-the-year report on the Achievement Gap Reduction Program. As such, this update is a contractual requirement mandated by the Department of Public Instruction for the AGR program. Our commitment to All Means All is a call to action to ensure every student, regardless of background, receives equitable access to high-quality, rigorous instruction. Recent data clearly shows where we need to focus to make this a reality. Data from both our internal observations and an external audit provide a clear, undeniable picture of where we are and where we need to go. It underscores why our renewed focus on ambitious instruction with its clear components and our new structures are absolutely vital. Our 2025-26 ambitious instruction plan is rooted in 3 beliefs: a strong Tier 1 instruction. Daily, standards-aligned instruction using high-quality instructional materials is the most powerful lever for student success. We can't intervene our way out of a weak core instruction. All means all. Every student must have access to grade-level instruction, no exceptions. Equity starts in the classroom. And clarity in action. Teachers need clear expectations and outcomes to guide their practice and track progress. These beliefs are the backbone of our ambitious instruction framework. Accelerating Learning Plan brings the district back to the basics of quality learning and teaching. It unites all content areas around formative practices, explicit instruction, and meaningful student engagement. Each grade level and content area will embrace specific instructional practices around these areas. Moving into the specifics of our reach, the Achievement Gap Reduction, or also known as the AGR program, is currently active in 63 schools and 1 non-instrumentality charter school. It gives you a sense of the population we serve. We have 10,205 students enrolled. Our student body is highly diverse, primarily composed of Black or Hispanic students. Within this group, 22.2% are English language learners, 26.7% receive special education services, 87.7% are identified as economically disadvantaged. These schools are spread across all 9 MPS learning communities. To drive achievement, we implement 2 primary district-wide strategies: maintaining small classroom ratios, 18:1 or 30:2 in K-5, and provide instructional coaching for all participating students from K-5 through 3rd grade. Our core philosophy is that we can close the achievement gap by empowering teachers with the right instructional supports. By fostering high-quality, responsive classroom environments, we directly impact student success. This work is anchored in our ambitious instruction focus. Through this framework, we provide a multi-level system of support for our staff in areas like collaborative practices, balanced assessments, high-quality instruction, and culturally responsive teaching in both ELA and math. The AGR office actively supports these content areas through various initiatives designed to help students reach grade level proficiency. I'll be highlighting several of these specific supports later in the presentation. Finally, as a reminder, the school board reviews our implementation progress and performance objectives at the end of every semester as part of our ongoing commitment to the program. In Counting Collections, we examined the combined trajectory of our K-5 through second grade students participating in the Counting Collections initiative across nearly 50 classrooms that consistently reported data through the first 2 trimesters. This data reflects not only the impact of the instructional strategy itself, but also the conditions that made successful implementation possible. Through our ongoing instructional coaching support, teachers were able to provide more individualized, hands-on mathematics instruction and engage students in meaningful counting, grouping, and mathematical discourse routines. Our goal is to move every student towards proficiency by building strong number sense and foundational mathematic thinking that supports future success. Starting with our youngest learners in K-5, we saw the most significant growth. We began the year with only 22% of our students performing at the proficient level. By the middle of the year, that number more than doubled to 48%. This growth reflects both the effectiveness of the Counting Collections approach and the ability of teachers to provide targeted support during instruction. As a result, more students moved out of the minimal tier and onto a path toward mastery during their first months of school. As we move into first grade, we begin to see the cumulative impact of our work. Our first graders started the year with a higher baseline of 33% proficiency, and by mid-year, they have surpassed the 50% proficiency milestone. This achievement demonstrates the power of sustained high-quality implementation. With continued coaching support and classroom environments that allowed for more individualized instruction, teachers helped students deepen their understanding of grouping, skip counting, and mathematical representation. These students are developing conceptual understanding, not just procedural counting skills, which positions them well for future mathematical learning. In second grade, the data reflects the increased rigor of the standards. Students move beyond counting by ones and tens to more complex grouping strategies involving hundreds in formal mathematical notation. While overall proficiency stands at 24%, the encouraging story is found in the movement out of the minimal tier. We successfully moved 15% of our second graders students into the basic performance level. This growth suggests that our instructional supports are helping students navigate more challenging mathematical concepts and preventing them from falling further behind as expectation increases. When we look across all 3 grade levels, a consistent trend emerges. We are reducing the percentage of students performing in the minimal tier while increasing the number of students entering the basic and proficient categories. These outcomes reflect a combination of effective instructional practices, dedicated teacher implementation, and coaching support. Together, these investments are strengthening early mathematics learning and helping us to address achievement gaps before they widen in later elementary school. By building strong mathematical foundations, early we are creating pathways for long-term student success. This slide highlights literacy growth in our achievement gap reduction schools, from the fall diagnostic to the spring diagnostic. We're focusing on one of our most rigorous indicators, the percentage of students performing at mid-grade level and above grade level. These students are demonstrating reading skills that place them solidly on track to meet or exceed grade level expectations. While the percentages remain an area of continued focus, our goal today is to examine the rate of growth and acceleration we are seeing over the course of the school year. These gains provide evidence that more students are moving toward grade level proficiency. In addition, teachers have been engaged in letters training, which is strengthening their understanding of the science of reading and contributing to more effective literacy instruction in the classroom. In grade 1, we observed some of the strongest growth across our AGR schools. In the fall, approximately 1.75% of students were performing at or above the mid-grade level benchmark. By the spring, that percentage increased to more than 10%. While the overall percentage remains relatively modest, the rate of improvement is highly encouraging. A nearly 6-fold increase in one school year suggests that a growing number of students are accelerating toward grade level expectations. This is particularly important in first grade, where foundational literacy skills establish the trajectory for future reading success. We see a similar pattern in grades 2 and 3. Both grade levels began the year with fewer than 2% of students meeting this benchmark. By spring, grade 2 increased to approximately 7%, while grade 3 exceeded 7.25%. Sustaining this level of growth is especially significant because literacy demands become increasingly complex in these grades. Students are moving beyond foundational decoding skills and are expected to demonstrate greater fluency, comprehension, vocabulary development, and application of reading strategies across content areas. The upward trend suggests that more students are successfully navigating these increasing expectations and moving closer to grade level performance. These gains align with our achievement gap reduction investments and the instructional supports implemented in our AGR schools. Maintained classroom ratios allow teachers to provide more targeted small group instruction, increased opportunities for guided reading, and more responsive intervention cycles for students requiring additional support. In addition, literacy coaching helps strengthen instructional practices by supporting teachers with data analysis, lesson planning, differentiated instruction, and evidence-based reading strategies. Together, these supports created more opportunities for individualized instruction and timely intervention throughout the school year. While we recognize there is still important work ahead to increase the percentage of students meeting these rigorous benchmarks, the trend across all grade levels is moving in a positive direction. The consistent growth from fall to spring suggests that our students are making progress and that our instructional investments are helping create conditions for improved literacy outcomes. Most importantly, these results provide evidence of acceleration. More students are moving toward grade level expectations, and we are building the foundation necessary for stronger long-term literacy achievement across our AGR schools. This slide highlights student engagement and performance with the iReady reading lessons across kindergarten through third grade. Rather than focusing solely on assessment results, this data helps us understand how students are engaging with the instructional supports designed to accelerate literacy growth through the school year. Specifically, the slide compares two critical instructional components: MyPath lessons, which provide individualized instruction based on each student's diagnostic results, and teacher-assigned lessons, which reinforce essential grade-level skills and standards identified by classroom teachers. Together, these two instructional pathways allow us to balance remediation and acceleration. MyPath lessons help address unfinished learning and skill gaps by meeting students where they are academically, while teacher-assigned lessons ensure students continue to engage with grade-level content and expectations. This balance is particularly important in our AGR schools, where students often enter the year with a wide range of learning needs. By providing both personalized support and access to grade-level instruction, we create multiple pathways for students to make meaningful literacy gains. The data on this slide is important because engagement alone is not the goal. What matters is how engagement translates into learning opportunities and informs instructional decision-making. When students consistently participate in both individualized and teacher-directed lessons, educators gain valuable information about strengths, areas for growth, and the effectiveness of interventions. As we review the results, we should view this data as one indicator of how our instructional systems are supporting students and creating the conditions for improved literacy outcomes. Ultimately, these tools help us deliver more personalized instruction while maintaining a strong focus on grade-level expectations. Combined with the supports provided through the AGR initiative, they strengthen our ability to respond to students' needs, monitor progress, and provide targeted literacy experiences that support long-term reading achievement. To achieve the literacy goals we've discussed, we have moved beyond traditional professional development toward a model of strategic coaching and implementation. We recognize that high-quality materials like our HMH Volume 3 curriculum are only as effective as the instruction behind them. This slide details the two primary groups driving this capacity building: our HMH external partners and our internal MPS district literacy coaches. First, let's look at our partnership with HMH. To ensure our teachers are experts in the new curriculum, we have scheduled 2 intensive in-person coaching cycles for every K-5 through 5th grade classroom during the 25-26 school years. These aren't just standard observations, they're high-touch sessions that include modeling, where the specialist teaches the lesson, side-by-side coaching, where they work with the teacher in real time, and a formal debrief, where they analyze student work and plan for the next instructional block. Working in tandem with those specialists are our MPS district literacy coaches. These coaches are the backbone of our support in the 63 AGR schools. While the HMH coaches provide curriculum-specific expertise, our district coaches provide the daily tactical support needed to sustain growth. They are in the buildings every day, providing hands-on planning support to help teachers navigate the arc of learning, and instructional support to help differentiate lessons for our most diverse learners. The synergy between these two groups is what allows us to stay the course by combining the deep product knowledge of HMH coaches with the school-specific insights of our MPS coaches. We are building a sustainable level of teacher capacity. We aren't just providing a one-time training, we are embedding a culture of continuous improvement across all our AGR sites to ensure that All Will Read becomes a reality for every student. To strengthen mathematics instruction across our AGR schools, the district focuses on building teacher capacity around 3 key areas: conceptual understanding, mathematical discourse, and foundational number sense. Our strategy is grounded in the belief that sustainable student achievement begins with high-quality classroom instruction. Rather than relying on isolated interventions, we've implemented a coherent system of professional learning, coaching, and instructional support. A central component of this work is our partnership with iReady specialists to support the successful implementation of the Try It, Discuss It, Connect It framework. Since the beginning of the 2025-26 school year, our milestones included 335 iReady support visits conducted by the MPS math coaches, 9 designated iReady partnership schools receiving intensive focus, 67 district-focused professional development sessions executed to align our instructional design, and 59 tailored support visits from our dedicated iReady specialists to guide teachers through real-time adjustments. In tandem with curriculum support, our coaches emphasize counting collections, the hands-on routine that builds early number sense and place value understanding. We have scaled this initiative to encompass 209 classroom support visits. This direct support reached 21 schools. A total of 308 teachers have been trained to implement this foundational routines with fidelity. Our coaching model is built on sustained job-embedded learning rather than one-time workshops. Supported by our district math coaches, this professional framework features 34 schools receiving district coaching infrastructures. 81 completed 6-week student-centered coaching cycles focused on collaborative planning, modeling, and student work analysis. 121 grade level or school-wide PLCs where teachers collaborate to refine their practices. When viewed together, these numbers demonstrate an aggressive, comprehensive strategy. The data-driven growth we are starting to observe in early mathematics is a direct byproduct of this layered, rigorous investment in our instructional staff. This slide captures our recent milestones and forward-looking strategy as outlined in the accomplishments and next steps file. It reflects our ongoing commitment to evaluating our instructional impact while establishing clear directives for the next phase of our work. Let's highlight our key systemic achievements from this past period. We provided HMH coaching support to 63 AGR schools to ensure classroom teachers have the curriculum-specific expertise required for student success. We facilitated 121 math PLCs in AGR schools to build collaborative, job-embedded teacher communities focused on analyzing student mathematical thinking, and completed end-of-the-year reports for 64 AGR schools, which allows us to properly evaluate our growth in fully critical program compliance. To maintain this momentum and ensure continuous improvement, we have defined our next operational priorities. Engage in AGR walkthroughs to witness classroom instruction in real time and maintain high instructional fidelity. Create a Google site specific to AGR to act as a centralized hub where teachers and coaches can seamlessly access essential resources and materials. Monitor strategies for AGR to verify that our academic interventions remain strictly data-driven and responsive to students' needs. And support HMH, iReady, and counting collections to deepen teacher capacity and ensure these core pillars are completely integrated into daily routines. Celebrating our achievements provides a great baseline, but executing these next steps is what will ensure we continue to move the needle for our classrooms. Let's keep our focus sharp as we transition into the next phase of implementation. This concludes the update. I'll be happy to respond to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, Madam Secretary, it looks like we have one speaker slip on this item. I believe Jimmy Copeland. Just say your name and spell the last name for the record.
Jimmy Copeland, Copeland. Good evening, members of the Committee on Student Achievement. My name is Jimmy Copeland. I am a student at Golden Mile School, a 2-year captain of our varsity golf team, and a black student in Milwaukee Public Schools. As the committee discusses the minority student achievement gap, I would like to offer a student perspective. Closing achievement gaps requires more than strong classroom instruction. It also requires that students have consistent access to the opportunities and support systems that help them succeed. During my 3 years on the varsity golf team, district transportation has repeatedly arrived 30 to 45 minutes late to competitions. While this may seem like a small issue, it affects students' ability to prepare, perform, and take advantage of opportunities that can contribute to college and career success. I also believe that we should evaluate whether our current eligibility standards are fully preparing students for the expectations they will face after graduation. If our goal is to close achievement gaps and increase college readiness for all students, then our policies should encourage academic success before students leave our schools. As a student, I appreciate the district's commitment to improving outcomes for all students. I believe that addressing barriers to opportunity is an important part of closing achievement gaps and helping every student reach their potential. I respectfully encourage this committee to consider how transportation, access to opportunities, and academic expectations contribute to student achievement. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your words and your input. Really appreciate it. All right, Madam Secretary, are there any other speaker slips on this item?
That was the only speaker slip on this item.
Thank you so much. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Director Ferguson.
I struggled to hear the speaker, particularly on the last part. He recommended that we, I think I heard transportation, and anybody catch what else he's?
Opportunities.
He talked about academic, Chair Simpson, Director
Administration.
Ferguson, he talked about equity and opportunities, talked about his bus being late for his golf. I'll check on that. And also about just academic success and the way that we, if you're a student athlete, this is something actually I talked to Mr. Harris about and I want to address is our policies around and guidance around our athletes, our student athletes, our students who participate in co-curriculars. They're students first, and I think he's saying if you want to, have them ready for college, that those requirements should be higher, or at least matched with a high enough standard so that the student and student athlete comes with a good set of standards and expectation for their attendance, their behavior, and their academic performance. Right.
Thank you.
Director Ferguson.
Did we miss anything?
Director Ferguson.
Thank you for clarifying that. Did she do a good job? She did a good job? Okay, we got it then. Okay, thank you for your advocacy too, for coming to, we love when students come into this space to help us be better board directors and a better oversight governing body for our district, and I'm sure the superintendent loves it as well.
Mm-hmm. Also,
because she's been a student voice champion since she's been here, so.
Chair Simpson, Director Ferguson, who also want to invite the the student speaker to submit his written record to the board as well. If you submit it to governance at milwaukee.k12.wi.us, then we'll have it clearly out in your voice as well.
Thank you. Did you have any other questions, Director
Yes,
Ferguson?
I have a few questions for concerning the presentation tonight. My first question is, every student enrolled in all 63 AGR schools automatically enrolled in the AGR program, or is there a criteria for them to be enrolled in this program? If there is a criteria, can you describe it?
Administration.
Director Ferguson, Chair Simpson, Allison Foyer, Early Childhood Supervisor. You are correct. If you're in an AGR school in grades K-5 to 3rd grade, you're enrolled in AGR.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And then I also want to commend your work, your guys' work. I was looking at the movement of the students in terms of their achievement. And of course, I know we still got a lot of ground to cover. And we got a lot of work to do, but I also want to just appreciate your work that you guys are doing, because the data gives a positive reflection of the work that's happening. And we don't always get that concerning MPS. So I really, really appreciate the report that you guys gave tonight, showing the progress in these areas. And then finally, I wanted to ask about the district literacy coaches. For one, the partnership between the coach and the HMH, is it a consultant? Is there a HMH consultant and a district literacy coach in every school?
Administration?
Chair Simpson, Director Ferguson, we do have another presentation with Dr. Gabby Bell-Jimenez, and I'm sure she's going to give a deeper explanation around our coaches and our coaching model, if you wouldn't mind having her answer that question.
That would be perfect. That would be perfect. And that was it.
All right, thank you, Director.
Good work.
Ferguson.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, good to pause and celebrate gains when we see them.
Yes.
Director Benoit?
Hello. I have a question. I'm assuming you're collecting feedback from our teachers. How are they responding to this year's changes and to the new program?
Administration?
Director Benoit, Chair Simpson, and other members of the committee, Chrissy Washington, Early Learning Manager. Feedback from teachers has been positive. They are truly appreciative of the additional support, which was not in the same manner as the prior year. So once again, they have indicated that they are excited about the opportunities that have been presented to them to extend their learning and being able to have the same format be implemented for the upcoming year.
Follow-up, Director
No,
Benoit?
thank you. That's great news.
Thank you. And Director O'Halloran?
Okay, I have a bunch of questions, and I should have emailed them ahead of time. But, okay, this is just a comment, not a question. Slide 7, you have 3 tables, or 3 graphs, and the first one goes 0 to 50, and then the next 2, well, the second one goes 0 to 60, but they're on the same. And then the third one, the legend just kind of cuts off. And so it would be helpful to use the same numbers so that you can just see them and make sure that if you're putting 3 tables on the same one, I assume the counting collections trajectory assessment second is still that 0 to 60, but the 6 is kind of cut off. I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry to be pedantic, but I can't tell what the numbers are if I don't see them. So just a note for the future. For slide 8, I do actually have a question on this one. A comment and a question. I'm sorry, I have so many. So my comment is, it would be helpful in this context if we could see like a prior year performance to understand if that increase was something that was unique to what we did this year, or if we always see that same increase in grade 1 from fall to spring, et cetera, just so that we have kind of that as a benchmark. And then my question is on slide 8. So as we move forward, I know we are looking to try to encourage more students to take advantage of summer learning opportunities. I just see, without the context of a prior year, I'm just seeing like grade 1, they come in, they experience this great growth in spring, and then the second grade, they're coming in lower again. And so how are we addressing that summer slide? And I know we talk about like the summer reading programs at the library, but it would be great if we had some innovative ways to try to make sure that when they leave with 11% or whatever, 10.5% in spring of grade 1, that they're coming in a little more well-prepared in grade 2. So that would just be a question around, maybe a longer-term question, if we have anything in the works or any ideas around that.
All right, administration, any response to those ideas and
Chair
suggestions?
Simpson, Director O'Halloran, those are really great ideas around looking at summer slide and also looking at cohort data. As you can see on page 8, you're comparing grade 1 and grade 2 and grade 3, but those are not the same kids in those, bars there. And so having that trend data is something that I think could be useful in understanding the cohort, particularly the summer slide, because you did look at the grade 1 and then go into grade 2, and if that bar is still as low as it was in the fall and the fall 2, then you know you're seeing summer slide. Our summer school team has been ramping up. This is something I am championing, not only because I think it could generate revenue over the next 4 years, but also I think that it's an absolute no-brainer to give kids this boost. It does cost us more money in the short term because it's back reimbursed and it's only 1/3 reimbursed. And so, it does take a few years to get that program going and up to where it's totally self-sufficient. But we think it's important to do, and they're maximizing the number of students in a classroom to be able to offer it to more students this summer. So good suggestions. I think a report in the fall on summer slide would be useful as we look at where's our starting point with the new cohort of students from cohort to cohort each year.
Okay, thank you. And Director O'Halloran?
Yes, and then
No question.
on slide 10, you have the literacy coaches supporting 63 AGR schools. How many coaches support the 63 schools? Is it 1-to-1 or is it, I don't know.
Administration.
How many coaches you have? I'll have to get back to
Okay.
Chair Simpson, Director O'Halloran. I think that Dr. Gabby Bella-Jimenez and Jennifer Mims-Hall may have that answer, and they'll be out shortly.
Okay.
Wonderful. And Director O'Halloran?
It would be the same question on slide 11 with the 34 schools supported by district math coaches. Just wondering what their caseload is. A question just in general, were any of the coaches put at risk through budget-related decisions that we internally made or any grant funding decisions from the state? Are we maintaining like the same coach level in caseload?
Administration.
Director O'Halloran, Chair Simpson, Allison Foyer, Early Childhood Supervisor. So we currently have 3 math coaches that serve these schools, and they're doing teacher one-on-one coaching, PLCs, grade level meetings, all of those things. And yes, the plan is that those 3 will be back again next year.
Great. Any follow-up, Director O'Halloran?
Yes, just one final question. Thank you so much for entertaining all of my questions. So I think at the beginning of the presentation, there was a comment that this presentation, this report out is one of the compliance requirements for the AGR program. And I think at the end you said that you had completed reports that are part of the compliance. Are there other compliance-related requirements that the board, the public, et cetera, should be aware of to make sure that we're checking all of the boxes and not out of compliance, aside from those 2 that were mentioned?
Administration.
Director O'Halloran, Chair Simpson, Allison Foyer, Early Childhood Supervisor. At the beginning of the year, we provide a strategies report for each of our schools, and then also an enrollment report as well.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Director O'Halloran? No? All
No,
right.
thank you. She said no before I even said no, by the way. Let the record reflect. She said you're done.
Chair Simpson.
Yes, administration, go ahead.
Chair Simpson, Director O'Halloran, I do think, I don't know if it's absolutely a state requirement, but it is something that we are working on in terms of aligning all of our granting programs. So AGR program is embedded within a school's school improvement planning and, their Title I plans. And so we're trying to be better about how we align all the efforts at a school and how they're using their resources so that we're not, one, duplicating and being inefficient, but also being very thoughtful about the types of supports that are going into a school based on how they're identified. So if they have, for instance, they're landing on the school improvement list for math deficiencies, then we want to make sure we have additional support in math. We're doing this now with our 102 instructional facilitator positions. So even though we might have 3 coaches supporting 63 schools, they will be also coordinating, all of these efforts will be coordinating with our instructional facilitators, 102 of them now, out into our schools, who will be doing the day-to-day job-embedded professional development, coaching, organizing coaching, monitoring, learning, providing supports to teachers. And this is just going to be a much more coordinated way to do job-embedded coaching and development for teacher practice in the schools.
Thank you for that information. I appreciate that. All right. Mr. Chason.
Thank you, Chair Stevenson, Matt Chason, OAE. I want to thank the AGR team also for their hard work in this space. Just a quick observation on slide 6, the breakout of the AGR schools. I think it might be beneficial for the board to have those allocated by the new learning communities that have been in place rather than the previous structure that we had within the district. Additionally, too, with the previously, when we would see these assessment results under STAR, we would be able to see the breakouts by students who are significantly below, well below, on target, significantly above target. And the benefit of that categorization in that presentation was that not only could we see the students who were at a higher tier move to an even higher tier, but the movement of those beneath as well. And I don't know to the degree that the iReady assessment also provides that level of, but I think it helps to show the movement across if that data is available. And then lastly, I see the results of the iReady assessing with respect to the reading. Do we have iReady results with respect to math as well? Or I got the impression that that was one of the assessments as well, but I didn't see that in the presentation.
Okay. Administration.
Mr. Chason and members of the committee, Chrissy Washington, Early Learning Manager. In reporting data results, we like to report consistent data, K-5 through 3rd, and since that there was not, information consistently, that's why it was not reported in the area of math. So what we did provide for you was, I believe, the MyPath and teacher assigned lessons, and I think that's, and counting collections, counting collections, which was K-5 through 2nd.
And I believe so with the iReady, is there a way to measure or to show the different groups as we saw with STAR? I believe that was one of the other questions. I don't know if the information is broken down the same way, but to show all of the different leveled groups.
Chair Simpson and other members of the committee, Chrissy Washington, Early Learning Manager. Yes, there is not as, clear way to communicate it as it was with STAR. So with the information that was presented, we really tried to work to present information that was easy to be able to communicate regarding some progress that was made in regards to how needs of students can be addressed with personalization, both with teacher-directed as well as with the MyPath computer lessons.
Thank you. Administration.
Chair Simpson, I'm happy to work with Mr. Chason on that with Dr. Collins in terms of how we represent the data and just in a way that is easily consumable for the public and for the board to see trends and to see cohort to cohort so that we can see student by student data moving forward. Also, I wanted to note, one of the things I looked at when I first came to Milwaukee was this revenue. And I was surprised to find out that these schools are locked in. And so we can't put new schools in and change schools in and out and that sort of thing. So, you know, if you have a higher need school, you can't add them into this program now, is my understanding, right? I'm correct? And so I was extremely disappointed because we do have some high need schools that I think could benefit. And that's one of the wonderful things we can see even in this data, you know, which is just some simple data that we've presented here, that class size reduction actually does work in seeing student gains. So that's one of the reasons, additional reasons for equity purposes why we did the class size, so that not just these students are getting class size reduction and supports, but we're getting those supports across the board to students that need it.
Very important. Mr. Chasten, any follow-up questions? Okay, thank you. Back to committee members, making sure we don't miss any. All right. I did have one just very quick question. So counting collections, I believe it said 21 schools. Am I correct in that? I was just wondering if that is expanding into other schools for next year.
Chair Simpson and other members of the committee, Chrissy Washington, Early Learning Manager. The 21 schools were the targeted schools that the coaches provide specific support to. However, as was noted, there's over 309 teachers who have been trained, and so there's been ongoing support to schools as needed. But once again, I just wanted to emphasize that the data reflected the intentional targeted support in schools that are identified that were needing assistance in ensuring that the count and collection is implemented with fidelity.
And will that program grow next year? Is it just through the training, teachers can sign up to do it, and versus like an entire school taking that on?
Chair Simpson and other members of the committee, Chrissy Washington, Early Learning Manager, yes, that is correct. The intention is to continue to build capacity as well as expand to ensure that the process or program is being implemented continually as years progress.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, seeing no other members of the committee with questions, thank you very much for that report and those updates. Looking forward to hearing from you again next school year. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 3 is report with possible action on the MGT partnership update. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Thank you. Would administration please present this item?
Chair Simpson and members of the committee, Brenda Cassellius, Superintendent. During the 25-26 school year, Milwaukee Public Schools continued implementing recommendations from the independent MGT of America Consulting LLC audit. This is known as the governor's audit, to strengthen our academic outcomes and organizational effectiveness. Key efforts focusing on advancing the MPS academic literacy plan, aligning our multi-level system of support and positive behavior intervention support frameworks, strengthening professional learning to improve literacy outcomes and student achievement, as well as an academic vision across the district. The district also continues to enhance communication, collaboration, and organizational structures to support a more focused and effective teaching and learning environment. As you know, last fall, we had some difficulty with the upstart of our literacy work. We resubmitted our contracting with the addition of the governor's grant to us with MGT to come in and work with us with the union to get that back on track, kind of have them help chaperone those meetings, get all the people working in the sandbox nice together so that we could move forward and get our literacy plan. That happened. Feeling super excited about where we are right now, and I'm excited that Sarah Iannucci is here, Vice President MGT, to present with Jennifer Mims-Howe our district's progress and provide insights into the ongoing implementation of these initiatives. Thanks.
Wonderful, thank you. Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Sarah Iannucci, Vice President at MGT. So great to see everyone, and thank you for the time. And thank you so much to Dr. Caselius and Chief Meems Howell for their leadership and persistence to move student data and to truly get all kids reading. It takes dedication and persistence in face of obstacles and challenges and constant problem solving. And I think that, this year there's lots of examples of just constant problem solving and moving the ball forward for kids. I'm so excited to report on, progress. And I think we all know there's a long way to go. And so there's a great foundation to build from and a lot of momentum heading into next year, which we'll talk about. But just the work is hard, and you have to have high expectations of everyone and just keep it moving on behalf of kids. So just a lot of gratitude for the partnership and collaboration and all of you for centering kids in literacy, because we know that, that's critical for our kids. Here we go. So just as a reminder, just as Dr. Caselius said, MGT at the end of 24-25 school year conducted the instructional and operational audit. And then, as Dr. Caselius shared, in the fall, and we presented here early in November, we were asked to partner and help on the ground, right, try to enact these priorities and initiatives in direction of the findings of the audit. And so we've been working hand in hand and in partnership with stakeholders to get everyone moving in that same direction. It takes a lot of communication, a lot of collaboration across the team to keep things moving. Chief Meems Howell is going to talk a lot about this multi-layered approach in her presentation around getting school leaders having this aligned vision, academic and superintendents, teachers, MTA, and everyone just rowing in the right direction. So again, made strides, still ways to go, but definitely progress. And just 3 big areas that we focused on and were asked to focus on is one is K-5-5 literacy, which this group has heard a lot about this year in terms of moving to HMH Volume 3 and that whole body of work. Number 2 is just overall professional development and seeing, can we get this improved? How are we measuring it? How are we collecting data? How can we improve teacher experience design? And then 3, and this more recent, is around, okay, we have this foundation. How do we set up next year? You have to start early and make sure that laying the groundwork to accelerate progress in future years. So that's the 3rd bucket of work. In K-5-5 literacy, if we remember where we were and now where we are, is in November we were here and teachers were having a really hard time teaching from Google Docs lessons, right? And we were hearing about it, you were hearing about it, we got a lot of feedback. And so where we are was a huge pivot, a really big decision to invest in high quality instructional materials, aligned to the science of reading, put print materials in the hands of teachers, and invest in modeling sessions across the district, and focused PD on that HQIM, right? That's exactly what you want to do. It was really hard because the district could have waited a whole year, right? It's like, can we do this? And went for it. And gratitude to all the teachers who have really been flexible, been open around learning. And kids are in a better position because now teachers have that foundation of HMH going into next year. And they got concentrated modeling across their buildings, which we'll talk about in a second. And so where we were and where we are now, that's a lot that happened in actually a very short time period. And And the other work is just around helping all that coordination happen. So we work with HMH and we work with MPS and we think about how do we get just everyone rowing in the right direction. And you just see here is that we took a poll from teachers, and this was some feedback that you all gave around, we want to hear more about teacher voice. This is just one data point from a survey in May around, hey teachers, what was your perception of what do you know? And we've really focused on word recognition and word study. Next year, we'll move into integrated reading and writing, as Chief Means-Howell will share. And we know that, general education teachers, about 70% are saying, okay, I really understand this. We know that there's a gap with special education teachers, what the district is aware of and knows that more differentiated is needed. But part of this is just understanding how it's playing out and designing those PD experiences for teachers to make sure that next year, right, we're building upon all the work. Here is walkthrough data. So a big piece of this is that when you're rolling out, right, we want to collect teacher perception data. We also want to know what's happening in classrooms, right? And you need to build systems to do that across the district. So as this was mid-May, so I think this number is probably over 700 by now, but 667 K-5 literacy walkthroughs. And those were collaborative walkthroughs on purpose, where we had principals always partnered with someone. It wasn't always us. Sometimes our team was involved, but most of the time was principals and their academic soup partnering together to walk classrooms because we want that aligned vision. To do that takes a lot of complex systems. We had to build a system where we had to know what lesson was being taught so that the principal knew, I'm going to internalize a lesson and understand what I'm going to see. And building that habit. Is it perfect? No, but that system was start to build around, we have a way where we're going to expect a principal to know the lesson and understand the lesson themselves and be able to give better feedback and understand what they're seeing more. And then our team was on the ground for 81 of those, so we would go as another side-by-side to say, hey, like, here's what we know. The more conversations that you can have about what you're seeing, you're just learning. And so we were more learning partners in these walkthroughs where our team was just providing additional support and guidance on the ground around what we were seeing. Next is professional development. So where we were is in the fall, PD, we have feedback from teachers, right? And now where we are is big jumps in the data. And what's nice about this data is that we actually built this survey and we used common questions all year. And I think you guys have seen those slides. And those questions were generated with teachers when we first entered in that collaborative session with MTA. We got feedback from teachers around what should we measure? How should we measure success? And I think a lot of it is also just MPS building systems. Chief Means-Howell and her team has done a great job responding to feedback. You can see a huge jump in this well-organized and clearly communicated. There's a new PD website that was also an idea from the teacher that the district enacted. We've got a lot of positive feedback around just how do I know as a teacher where to go? These are complicated days. People are going in different places to different sessions. You have different schools. And so a baseline requirement is everyone knows where to go and what I'm learning. And of course, they're well planned. So that was the other bucket that there's really exciting plans that Chief Means-Howell is going to talk about around expanding PD offerings across roles. And so, getting all these structures stronger will just hopefully lead into even stronger systems for next year. And this third part, which you'll also hear from Chief Means-Howell tonight, is around just that planning for next year and thinking about what's the work that we need to do in February and March so that this summer we can train people really well and go into next year feeling really strong. And it's really hard to do that, to still run the school year and also plan. And so we helped, and still helping, we'll be here through the summer, to try to help support really proactive planning. Because the further ahead you can get on it, it's going to be better. One of the things, and you heard it from Dr. Caselius, is this, we helped in the background around this really wonderful idea around making sure that IFTs are with schools. And so we helped in the background around just making all that happen. Those resources are going to CSI, ATSI, and MRI schools, and there's a lot of work with DPI to make that happen, a lot of coordination, so also helping with the design and launch of that role. And this is just some other kind of scope, highlighting a couple of other numbers, but the HMH modeling days, this is done by HMH, and hats off to them, but we helped coordinate the modeling days. You can imagine these days, you have to schedule for a coach to come to your building, you have to find coverage and make sure your teachers can be there. And that's a complex process. And it's a credible investment for teachers to be able to see a coach model what they're supposed to do. And that was the number one piece of feedback that the district got. And so just a really strong response, and just we were helping coordinate and making those days happen. And yeah, there were early release days. Within that, there's a nice playbook now that the district can use around communication and layered communication, and just continue progress into next year. Let's see, I think we talked about all of these. I think the one on the right, haven't touched on yet, but we also directly and in partnership with HMH recently facilitated principal training. And it was really nice because what we provided was more, hey, broad science of reading training. And then HMH was like, and this is what it looks like in the curriculum. And so a good partnership there around helping principals, and that's a key layer to continue to work on, is principal instructional leadership. But really wonderful feedback from principals from those sessions around their own development and understanding of word recognition and science of reading. And next steps is we're here over the summer and working on however we can to set up the district for academic success next year, and feel very optimistic and excited for MPS next year. Again, there's a long way to go, and it's good to note when there's progress made around some of these big structures. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And just, I appreciate you highlighting sort of like where we were in the fall to now, because it really is quite dramatic. And sometimes we don't pause to look at not only the better place we're in, but just how much work it takes to be there. So I just want to thank you for looking at professional development, the curriculum changes that we had to enact, and just that collaborative effort that had to be in place to make those changes and to make them powerful and impactful for the students. So just thank you so much for that work. Madam Secretary, are there any speaker slips for tonight?
We do not have any speaker slips.
On this item, sorry. And committee members, do you wish to make comments and ask questions? We'll start with Director O'Halloran.
I promise I only have one. On slide 8, there is a bullet point about tailored communication shared for 3 early release PD days and 4 district-wide PD days. And I don't know that this would necessarily be MGT, or maybe it's admin, but it would be nice as we move into subsequent years, if we can find a way to present some of this in a really accessible way for families, using maybe like DAC or like SEC parent leaders as like, does this make sense to you? Because the early release, some people will just see it as an inconvenience. And if we can help them understand that it's a true investment in their student success and the success of every student, like maybe your student is on track, but maybe another kid needs this, so I'm sorry that it's an inconvenience, but this is for we're not asking you to do it for a really dumb reason. It's a really worthwhile reason. So I don't know that that's MGT, but that's a bullet point in the presentation, so it's relevant.
Thank you for that feedback, Director O'Halloran. Any response from administration? No? Okay. Just take it under advisement. Mr. Chason.
Thank you, Chair Stevenson. Matt Chason, OAE. Looking at I think I'm on slide 9 here, the implementation progress. And the 3 measures that are here are, what's the relationship between these and the actual literacy outcomes? Are they leading indicators? And if so, what are the minimum thresholds that we need to meet to unlock the literacy outcomes that we're looking for? Or what is the relationship if I increase from 80% that teachers felt that the PD was well organized to 90%? What can I expect in my literacy outcomes when I move that needle?
Administration.
So I actually would point to, I think the walkthrough data is the best leading indicator, right, to student outcome data. And we're in the process of analyzing both AIMSweb, and we will do analysis of Forward in this next month to see, okay, we're seeing this in the walkthrough data, what do we see? But self-perception data is important because it's important what teachers feel and think, right? That's an indicator of how they're going to behave, but the best leading data is what's happening in the classroom, because in order to change student actions or student learning, right, we want to look at their actions in the classroom. So I actually would point to this, and you can see some jumps. So like this one is interesting. Students participate in multisensory activity for sound symbol association. So one of the things about science reading that we know is that you might go in a classroom and kids are like tapping their arm to break up a sound. And that's just like not for fun. Research tells us that they need to have multi-sensory experiences. So that's a pretty big jump there. That's 11%, right, from what we saw from round 1 to round 2. You can even see that students demonstrate understanding that letter combinations represent sounds. So I think that is, but I would actually point to this data as what to pay attention to the most. But those other things really matter, because if we ignore how teachers are feeling or believing, like they're not going to change their behavior teaching. So it's all important, but I think I would point to that data as the best leading indicator here.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Mr. Chason?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Stevenson, Matt Chason, OAE. With respect to this data set here then, is there specific targets that we're trying to reach within a time interval? My presumption, right, is that the closer we get to 100%, the better off the outcomes that we'll see. But is there a specific target by date that we're attempting to achieve in our implementation here?
Yeah.
Administration.
Let me answer that. So the way that we thought about it is that, one, this was a new tool, right? And this is so brand new for teachers. So if we said, teachers, you have to get to 90%, we want to see 90 to 100%, right? But it feels as though we need to test the tool before we put some strict parameters around it. So I think you do want to see a preponderance of evidence in your classrooms across, say 80% plus. But for this tool, because it was brand new and we have to calibrate. So principals are still learning. We're all learning. And so we can look at this data and we have to know that we're still calibrating. And so I think once we get to a better level of calibration and standardization of tool, then I think I would have more confidence saying to you, yes, like definitely 90%. And so that's the way we thought about it, is we're in baseline data, and we're also calibrating to make sure that when we go into classrooms, we're seeing the same thing.
Superintendent Casalius?
Chair Simpson, members, Mr. Chason, I think that what you're seeing here on this slide, particularly, at least the way that I read it, was a condition of where we were at in the fall, where teachers were very dissatisfied. And I think what we were trying to accomplish here was working with the MTA around perception data so that we could validate teacher perception of our implementation moving forward. Because what we do know from implementation science, the greater you have awareness, the greater you move into your execution of your strategy and your implementation, teachers' belief systems about that implementation, teachers' actual perceptions of the quality of the professional development that they're getting and the time that they're getting to do the actual practice of their learning impacts the fidelity of their delivery to students. Obviously, then that impacts the students getting the lessons with fidelity for teaching to the high-quality materials and multiple differences of learning abilities within your classroom and being able to feel comfortable. That's why we still see gaps with our special ed teachers and our ESL teachers, indicating to our team that there's more work to do because their perceptions is, I need help. So that's where this is really helpful. I think in my years of experience, getting at 80% is pretty good, where we know we're going to start seeing growth, and that's going to be a leading indicator, because once I always say happy teachers, happy kids, but this true is same, like prepared teachers, prepared students. And so we're looking at that. What I was surprised to see is 98% of principals, like it's hard to get 98% of principals agreeing on anything, and saying that it was great. They also gave this exact similar feedback in the fall for the MGT presentation. They loved it. Our principals are hungry for ways to provide the kind of strategic support that they need to give to their teachers so that they can feel like they're being effective and they can get the outcomes that we all expect at the school levels with their kiddos. So I love the perception data because I think we underestimate belief systems and how they actually impact student achievement. And so this data is something I'm very interested in continuing to watch in the future, and I'm anxiously waiting for early results. I think we see some implementation dip at some schools as they got their materials mid-year. They've been practicing. We've had a year of grace, but now I think they'll hit the ground next fall with much more confidence than had we waited until this year fall and lost a year. So more significant data to come, and I think also I'll work with Natalie on the type of student outcome data that I think would be useful here as well in terms of looking at our progress. So thank you. Just big kudos to MGT, and I think Jennifer would agree with me that we just couldn't have been this far, at least without a lot more pain. And they've just been terrific partners. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Director Vanoy.
Hi, I do have one now. You mentioned, and I'm very excited to hear that you're going to be analyzing the Ames and Forward data. I was just wondering when we can expect to maybe see that, and would you include not only this year's data, but the data from previous, so we can kind of measure along the way with that grace in mind as well?
Anyone from administration?
Chair Simpson and Director Vanoy, because we had such a bumpy year, it really probably wouldn't have been that useful to provide this year, in spring. But we are creating now a baseline of data, and that report will come to you regularly. I think we're going to be reporting on literacy every 2 months now, rather than every month. And so I'm hoping that those, I know those presentations will be much more precise and provide a lot more data detail on the growth and the formative measures that we're using.
Any follow-up, Director Benoit? No, yes, this was such a year of just like laying the groundwork for things to come. So I feel like we're in a better place. Did you have a question? I'm sorry. Why don't you go? No, go ahead. Go ahead. Director Ferguson.
Thank you. This is an encouraging report, too. And one of the things that really caught my eye was the strategic planning around the work. So you mentioned that 98% of principals reported that MGT's SOAR session at 422 felt meaningful and strategic, but then you also mentioned that you're providing that support and assistance to plan in the future. One of the things that was that made it very bumpy when we were first rolling this all out was teachers saying from 1 week to the next, they didn't know what to expect, things would be different. And so I think it's really good that you guys are putting together like a plan, a structured plan that teachers can look at and administrators can look at ahead of time so they can too plan their work and lives around the instruction that needs to happen. So more so just an observation and comment.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, well, I just can't thank you enough for being here and helping us through this year. And this is the work, right? I mean, it's all important what we do, but this is it. We have to get our students reading. And I know everybody knows how important it is, but you feel that, in your heart and soul. And that really shows in your commitment to what you've done this year and just the assistance that you've provided and your willingness to stay here and just help us try to make some really significant gains for our students. So just want to really thank you for that. All right, no other comments or questions. So Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 4 is monthly report with possible action on the MPS FY26 academic/literacy plan. This is an informational item, and although it has been noticed for possible action, no action is required.
Would administration please present this item?
Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Brenda Casali as superintendent. Since August 2025, administration has provided ongoing updates to the board on the development and implementation of the 25-26 academic plan. As we've just discussed, these updates have included the literacy components of the plan, district assessments for FY26, and refinements informed by stakeholder feedback, the MGT audit, which we just heard, and the professional learning. Tonight, we'll provide a brief monthly update and introduce information on the HMH version 3 instructional materials and on-site support, as well as collaborative literacy work underway between the Office of the Schools and academics. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Mims Howell. Dr. Gabby Bell Jimenez is not here this evening, but she can cover it all. So, and then following, we'll be happy to answer any questions or take your comments.
Thank you, Dr. Caselius. Chair Simpson, members of the committee, Jennifer Mims Howell, Chief Academic Officer. And on behalf of Dr. Bell Jimenez and myself, I want to thank you for also asking the questions that you did to take us deeper this year. We had some collaborations along with MGT, as Dr. Caselius said, chaperoning many contentious moments between ourselves and stakeholders, but at the end of the day, we are seeing student success, and that's what matters. I've been on several walkthroughs over the last month and in classrooms where students who, as Sarah said, were tapping their arms before are blending those words, and it's off and running. So thank you for this opportunity and challenging us. It has been a challenging year. You're going to hear that probably throughout my presentation today, but we made it, and we did it for our students. So as we look at the implementation for a strong foundation that was built in 25-26, the key alignment at the top, which helps support what's going on in the schools. Through the support of MGT, our letters training and science of reading PD for the principals was very important. And through our partnership with the Office of Schools and with the Office of Family, Community, and Partnerships, we used HMH printed materials with our families as well as with our teachers, and we provided district-wide professional development for the teachers. Looking at these two implementation priorities, the Office of Schools, what we did along with the Office of Schools, what we did was we looked at what were the coaching models that were needed, what were the professional development options that were needed. Working with MTEA and ASC, we decided that we would focus on what our principals had been doing, and that was letters. We looked at what our teachers had been doing, and that is the HMH training along with letters as well. So together, we offered sessions for our K-5 through 5th grade ELA teachers. But we also offered support on the weekends. Our HMH friends came in, and sometimes our MGT friends stayed. We offered Saturday sessions to help teachers understand and put it into practice. We also took some of the lessons that we had.
It seems like the sound is kind of going in and out tonight a little bit.
Is that better? Better? Well, I can hear like some feedback too, so okay, I apologize. I'll start with the slide again. Through our partnerships with MTEA, ASC, and MGT, we offered additional supports around letters and HMH. There were Saturday trainings held where we balanced the HMH work into social emotional for our bilingual students, our bilingual educators and our special educators, supported by Make It, Take It sessions. What preparation did they need? What materials did they need to be ready to do things in their classrooms? As you mentioned before, in first semester was kind of rocky, but what we did, we made sure that second semester the supports were there, and also we used supports from our PBIS team to also support the social emotional, making sure that we had prepared the classroom for learning to happen. As Sarah mentioned before, we had 667 walks in 95 of our schools, 190 modeling days. What these modeling days did, they showed teachers how it could be possible in their classrooms. We also had family literacy nights. In partnership with Family Community Partnership, in collaboration with the Family Community Partnership Group and the academic directors, we shared information with families so they could support their children. Dr. Gabby Bell Jimenez did sessions in Spanish in our schools as well as in some of our libraries, and the academic directors were on hand to answer questions that parents had as we did small group activities. This is some of the data that Sarah shared before. What I would like to point out in this is that we had a limited amount of minutes for professional development this year. As you look at the graph that is on your left, it looks at what happened in November. Yellow, low. We struggled through November. We worked in partnership with our members of MTEA and ASC. We took the feedback that they gave us. And as Sarah mentioned, teachers had great ideas. But we also knew there was limited time and there were things that we needed to focus on. So we incorporated what some of the teachers recommended. And as you can see, our April and May data in the blue there spiked up. We listened to the feedback and we took it into consideration. As you look at the graph that's on the right-hand side, this is the principal reaction. And as Dr. Gabby Bell Jimenez always talks about, look at the blue, just look at the blue. Look at how they strongly agreed about the content of the session. Again, taking their feedback, we were able to structure the Principal Leadership Institutes based on what they said they needed support in. Again, giving them the targeted information that they needed, but in a way that was understandable and digestible to them. Through the collaboration of our many partners, we have learned that favorable ratings will come when we partner together. Looking at this data, this kind of answers the question that Director Vanoy asked before, like what are the teachers saying? Again, looking at the blue areas on the right-hand side for word recognition. Teachers are saying, yes, this was meaningful, this was digestible, and I clearly understand it. 70% of our K-5 through 5th grade general education teachers reported that they understood and were able to implement the word recognition. As you know, what we did was we took time and we stepped back a little bit. As you can see from the walkthrough data and the other graph, again, in the third section there, students participating in a multi-sensory activities for sound symbol association. This goes to what Sarah spoke about with Mr. Chasen. How do we know our students are learning? How do we see an impact? By looking at what our students are participating in. And the last bar graph there talks about students demonstrating an understanding. We went from earlier in our round one, just only 65% to a 73%. Students are learning, teachers are learning, and together we're increasing. As we look at the continued state of the key instructional audit based on what we spoke about with MGT that Sarah spoke about, we can look to see that many of the recommendations that were given to us in the governor's audit are underway. You will see as I flip through the slides today that some things are completed. Again, not completed alone, with the feedback from you as well as our stakeholders and our partners. The recommendations for the created focus for teaching and learning are underway. This is something that we will continue to work on as we dive deep into our strategic plan. We have a focus for teaching and learning in Milwaukee Public Schools, and we are going to restructure the central office roles to explicitly devote time to the actions that are needed. As we look here, the position of the principal as instructional leaders. Principal received a lot of special attention this year, making sure that they were prepared to be instructional leaders in their building. As you can see, our third point here, we revision professional development, and we have completed this task, making sure that our district goals align with the district vision. As we revisit ambitious instruction, we also look at what we have underway, but also we realize there are some things we could not do. Although we came into HMH version 3 materials in January, as mentioned before, November was very rocky. We had to also step back to figure out what type of professional development do we need to move forward. We had to narrow our focus. We also knew that job-embedded support was needed. Therefore, we had the HMH coaches going into the classroom, modeling for them, during walks, giving feedback along with our partners from MGT. It made it very important to Milwaukee Public Schools that we took time to say some of the things that we are doing in our PLC processes for teaching and learning need to pause. Therefore, they are planned for future school year. As we look at the academic audit when it comes to creating a plan of support and implementation for our instructional materials, as has been talked about a lot tonight, yay, we completed the first one. We got the HMH materials that teachers have been asking for. While we knew it was difficult for them to struggle through, we also heard the passion in their voices as they wanted to make sure they were using materials to teach their classroom. Everything didn't change automatically when we got the adopted materials. However, we had the supports there, people were open-minded, and we offered multiple opportunities for support to make sure that we were doing the right thing. The second one is underway because we continue to create the guidance that's needed. We think we're clear, we got to go back and explain it again. It's always a work in progress. But the third thing we did complete, and this comes from what Dr. Caselli has talked about before. We provided the training and support to make sure word recognition was taken on properly. And as you saw from the data before, 70% of the teachers are very comfortable with word recognition. But we also had to slow down the adoption and implement other things. We made sure that, yeah, we're not going to forget about integrated reading, but that will come in the future. Again, looking back at what I said earlier, we also knew that we could not implement all the lessons, we could not have all the embedded PD that we needed to for PLCs, again, plan for a future school year. And finally, looking at the final area of the guaranteed access to effective reading instruction. All these are underway because we will continue to require teachers, school leaders, and district leaders to complete the comprehensive training for structured literacy. Together, we can do this. We also know that guidance for the schools needs to be clear. Teachers need to be supported, and school leaders need to be allowed to learn and practice so that they can be instructional leaders in their building. By aligning these systems and the implementation through a structured literacy and with our partners using our protocols and walkthrough tools, we will make sure that the interventions are in place for a successful school year. The question left now is, what will it take to propel Milwaukee Public Schools into a new era of acceleration, progress, and the elimination of disparities in achievement and opportunities? A lot of that will come from the plan that we have. We're going to focus on Tier 1. We're going to align it to the strategic plan so that all of our goals are working towards the same goal, student achievement. The MPS leaders, we're mobilizing, we're making sure that everyone has a central academic strategy. If we do all that, every school, every classroom, and every student will continue to make progress towards the district goal. As we look at the infrastructure that's being built and we look forward, Milwaukee Public School leaders will continue with shared leadership, working from central office down to the schools. We will weave this into our strategic plan, allowing these five things and making sure that we have high leverage strategies to make them all happen. A district-wide instructional framework. We've talked about that this year with our academic literacy plan. Aligned professional development. From the feedback we've gotten from our stakeholders, we continue to make those alignments. Also, a strong monitoring system. If one thing MGT has taught us is that data speaks. You saw some of our data tonight. We will continue to bring data forward so that you know that we are accountable and have evidence for the strategies we are trying. Define team structures. As we spoke about all during the budget, with the cuts that are being made at central office and more support being given to the schools, we are defining what our team is doing. There are some things we no longer need to do, other things we need to start doing, but together we will get this done. And finally, an equitable, robust student services. Again, in collaboration with the Office of Schools and Family and Community and Partnerships, we will continue to make sure students are first priority. Sarah spoke a little bit about this before, the academic priorities. How will MPS create these strategic and these systematic changes that we spoke about? We're narrowing our focus. High-quality instructional materials were put in place this year. We will continue to use those as we move forward. We also will align that to high-quality professional learning for principals and instructional facilitators. We also will allow space so that school leaders become the instructional leaders they need to be. Daily access to high-leverage instructional practices in the Tier 1. All means all, as we have said. All students will receive instruction in literacy, mathematics, and core subjects throughout the school year. And finally, we know that we will have to put in place some Tier 2 and Tier 3 instructional opportunities. We will create sound interventions to make sure students who need to be supported are supported. And finally, looking at the instructional facilitator teacher, which you've heard a little bit about as we moved through many of our presentations this year and the slides from Sarah. And this goes to Director Ferguson's question about we are going to repurpose the positions to make sure schools are supported. There was a question about how many coaches do we have? We will be working with 102 instructional facilitators throughout the district. We will make sure they are trained. We will make sure that they are supported by central office. We will implement evidence-based strategies, making sure that the school improvement plans are making accelerated growth. Our instructional facilitators, along with the coaches here at central office, will strengthen and align the school's academic infrastructure, meaning we will use their school improvement plans to guide some of their work. We will support the Tier 1 high-quality instructional use of materials, and we will also center outcomes around what students need. We will make sure that students with disabilities and our multi-language learners are supported. The goal of having the instructional facilitators is to assure that the Department of Public Instruction's intent to make sure that our schools who need the most rigorous improvement have the support that they need. The core actions on expanding the infrastructure for professional development will look different next year. However, we will include the Office of Schools as we work to make sure leaders have what they need. We will work with the family, community, and partnership as we show families how they can support their young learners at home. For next year, we will have 5 days of Principal PD in July, a 2-day literacy conference. We also will use the monthly professional development by learning community to strengthen and answer questions in a smaller setting. Unfortunately, there will be no early release days next year, Director O'Halloran, so we will communicate, though, the professional development days to family as well as to district employees so that everyone knows what's happening for the 26-27 school year and they can plan accordingly. We will have a limited number of district-wide professional development days. However, we will use the structures in place through our instructional facilitator coaches and our school leaders to make sure schools have the support that they need and the information that they can use. Dedicated PD time, we're going to start training our instructional facilitators in July. There'll be a monthly 2-day training for everyone, and we will differentiate by our K-5 schools, our 6-8 schools, and our 9-12 schools. Remembering that we will have an ELA adoption next year, it is very important that our 9-12 instructional facilitators work alongside the department chairs to make sure questions are answered. And finally, looking at the comprehensive PD plan, there will be a 2-day literacy conference this August. More information to follow on that. We will offer summer professional development for our IFTs as well as for some of our targeted teaching groups, English language learners, bilingual students, special education students, immersion students, and our students who attend Montessori and IB schools will have teachers who are prepared to work with them and adjust the curriculum the very first day of school. Again, on behalf of myself, the partnerships that we've had, and Dr. Bell Jimenez, I'd like to thank you for this time, and we are open to any questions you may have.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jennifer Mims-Howell. Really appreciate that. And I'm assuming we have no members of the public who wish to make comments?
No, we do not.
All righty, it's in the script, got to read it. Back to committee for comments and questions. Director Ferguson.
Thank you, Chief Mims-Howell, for the presentation. I have a couple questions to follow up on. First, the instructional coaches or the district literacy coaches that were talked about in the AGR report and the instructional facilitators, are you saying that they are now one and the same? Or are these two different groups of people?
Ms. Howell?
Yes, sorry. Chair Simpson, Director Ferguson, Jennifer Mims-Howell, Chief Academic Officer. They are one and the same and different. So the training that we'll be giving next year, our instructional facilitator teachers, these are the dollars that we received for our school improvement dollars from the Department of Public Instruction. They will be trained to make sure that they know Act 20, they know the science of reading, but they also will be supporting math, science, social studies as well. The training they will have every month will focus on literacy, because that's our focus. However, it will also include the other core content areas. The coaches that are supporting our AGR schools are our district-wide coaches. They will be supporting in schools as they have, but also they'll be helping train the instructional facilitators that will be in these schools. Some of the schools have interventionists as well as reading specialists, and a couple of them have some different types of implementers. We will make sure that we have a science of reading training and also training that supports the other contents area monthly, voluntary of course, but they always will have the information that's shared district-wide and also through our Knowledge News, and then again, Saturday Academies we'll offer.
Follow-up, Director Ferguson?
Yes. So there are 102 instructional facilitators. How many district instructional coaches?
Ooh. Chair Simpson, Director Ferguson, good question. So what we have done, I've talked about this before, is that we have the 102 instructional facilitators, which will be assigned to schools and supporting them there. Here at Central Office, we have I call them academic teacher types. So we have our program support teachers that support our special education program, as well as we have 1 to 2 for every content area. So making sure that we're supporting K-12, everyone will receive the same instruction. And some people, yes, their licenses differ. They may have a reading license versus a special ed license, or a bilingual license versus an ESL license. But everyone will have the foundation, and then they will also have the specialty areas on top. So some of the classroom teachers will also receive support and then training from the district-wide coaches that we have, so that they have the information they can have in the classroom. And if they need additional support, they can always ask, contact central office, and we'll provide what support that we can. Oh, and teacher mentors too.
Teacher mentors.
Yep, new teacher mentors, as Dr. Cassellius mentioned, are in HR. They also will be part of the trainings.
Dr. Ferguson.
Okay, so thank you, Chair Simpson. In your academic infrastructure plan, first of all, I'm super excited about this because it gives us a strategic plan for attacking this work, and it's so needed and so necessary. A couple things that jump out to me. One was the strong monitoring systems. I almost wished that in this report, each one of these, a district-wide instructional framework, aligned professional development, strong monitoring systems, which I think is going to be absolutely critical, and defined teaming structures is also going to be absolutely critical. And then equitable and robust student services. I wish they all had like a separate drop down that I could just read and understand, because obviously this is a 747 of a plan. It's really huge for a huge district. So I want to applaud you guys for putting this together. It's really good, but I would love to see what that strong monitoring system is going to look like, and then the defined teaming structures are going to look like as well. So we can make sure that, which I know we're working a lot on position control, making sure that we're leveraging everybody that we have on the team. I'm a little fuzzy on the differences between the district, let me see, where am I at? Instructional coaches, and then the facilitators, and then the teacher leaders, and the mentors that are in HR now. So I'm definitely looking at what does teaming structures look like with all of these different components and moving pieces, or should I say moving people. I think you guys are putting together a stellar, I'm super proud of this work as we make this approach to turn this district around. I think we've had a lot of talking about it, but this really puts pen to paper and actually developing a plan that we can work and we can also evaluate and monitor as we're going. So that's why I definitely would love to see a strong monitoring system, because that's necessary, and then those teaming structures.
Any responses?
Chair Sampson, Director Ferguson, members, as you can see, Chief Mims Howell and Dr. Gabby Bell-Jimenez have been working very hard with the expertise of MGT, our own MTA teachers, coming to the table and really hashing out a really strong plan. What you'll see in the strategic planning that we're doing for the whole district, in the academic portions of the strategic planning, you're going to see the operational planning underneath that. So just know that that's going to be coming. Mm-hmm. So this is a highlight to where you come, and you've gotten some nuggets like the monitoring. You've heard about principal walkthroughs. Mm-hmm. You've heard about modeling. You've heard about data and looking at data, teacher perception data, as well as implementation data and understanding that. So that's that ongoing monitoring that you're going to see. The academic superintendents are evaluating their principals on these measures. Mm-hmm. And so that's the first. And so there's a lot of interest in our principals to get this right, because now it's part of their evaluation, right? So that's part of the overall monitoring. There's a district leadership team that's going to be monitoring the data with Dr. Collins, the outcome data, as well as the perception data and the walkthrough data. Then use all of that data to understand the progress we're making as a district around our strategic goals that we set. So know that we don't have that here explicitly because it's going to live in the operational plan of the strategic plan. So happy to continue to report on that. In regard to teaming, we will be having both vertical and horizontal teams and interdisciplinary teams as well. As we look at our PLC model, and the one thing that I'm just want to be transparent about is where you saw it's in a future school year. I'm still struggling with time. Teachers want more time to do this work. We need more time to do this work. We don't have enough PD days to get to the level of practice that we need to get to actually move in a very aggressive and accelerated fashion. So I'm hopeful with our class size reduction and the number of teachers, particularly at the early grades, that we were able to do, that at times we might be able to combine some classes and be really strategic with our paraprofessionals and our support staff to be really thoughtful about how we create learning time for grade level teams to meet, interdisciplinary teams to meet at the high school level, department chairs to meet with their disciplines. So really, I found that in my practice throughout my many years of doing this work is that it happens much faster when you have teams. And so I'm really thrilled with this teaming strategy. Then you have your teacher leader teams that will be working together. You heard Ms. Mims Howe talk about the IFT positions, the new teacher mentors. We still have some implementers and interventionists that were bought with title funding, and our principals. They're all going to be getting the same training. So for once, we are going to have a shared academic vision. We're all going to have a common language. We're all going to have mental models that we are looking at and understanding, and we're all going to be moving in the right direction, in the same direction, toward the same goals. And that, I think, is what's going to, that was what was identified in the original report from MGT, was that there was a lack of coherence, there was a lack of academic vision, and there was a lack of training and fidelity to that training. And now we have the materials, we have the training, we have the schedules. It's been clear, it's transparent. We have a willingness from our teachers to want to and they're eager. As I do my own walkthroughs, I hear stories from teachers, classroom after classroom, how excited they are about the materials. And where they're struggling, I say, give me your name. And I call up Gabby and say, this teacher's struggling. Gabby calls within 24 hours and says, how can I help? And so it's that kind of responsiveness to our teachers that I think is going to get us some great results. So I'm super proud of Ms. Mims Howe and her work, her persistence, her perseverance, and her incredible professionalism to work through what was a very difficult start to get us to this place right now. Super proud of the team.
Same.
Any other questions, Director Ferguson?
And excited for the pivot.
Yeah.
Me too. It's a difference of night and day.
It
So
is.
I really am. This is the work that I think we all signed up for
Yeah.
when we came to this space, and it wasn't always. Sitting here didn't always feel like this. So this feels right and good. So thank you to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other directors? Director O'Halloran?
One of my questions was already answered. I did just want to put a plug. I know that time is really hard to come by, but I appreciate the last slide, slide 20, when you have the specific, PD kind of laid out that vision. And in particular, I just wanted to note that I appreciate the specialized PD for EL, bilinguals, et cetera. I know every opportunity, like for the IB, to have like Lowell work with Wedgwood, work with Reagan and King, so that you have kind of the primary year programs into the middle year programs into, you know, the high school programs. So they're all learning from each other, and especially like the younger, whether it's Alba or Lowell, that they're like, okay, you know, this is the type of thing they're going to be doing in high school. And so how do you build that pipeline? This is one of our very attractive programs to families. And so I know it's really easy to advocate for what everybody already wants, right? Like, I don't think you necessarily need another advocate, but just in particular, I think having those teachers like work with each other to the extent possible is really helpful, not just for IB, but like Montessori and all of them, so that they're learning from each other, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Chair Simpson, Director O'Halloran, I'll let Ms. Mims-Hall speak to this in just a minute, but we are very excited about our work with International Baccalaureate and getting to the fidelity of that program and better outcomes, better pathways, better adherence and coherence around the International Baccalaureate program. We've been working with IBO. I have personally been in contact with the U.S. Chief of IBO, and we have a specialist who is working with us now on the ground and working with Jennifer Mims-Hall. So I wonder if you might speak to it, Chief, just a little bit about plans for the future.
Sure, thank you. Chair Simpson, Director O'Halloran, talk a little bit about the programs that we're going to be doing with IBO. What we're going to do monthly is we're going to do exactly what you talked about, Director O'Halloran. There will be a meeting for our MYP teachers. There will be a separate meeting for our PYP teachers, and then we also will have a meeting for the teachers that are going to be working on, as Dr. Caselli has talked about, the different not tracks, but the opportunities, so the DP, the diploma program, as well as our other program we have. And then there'll be a monthly meeting where IBO will speak along with this, the consultant that we're working with, to talk about where is Milwaukee Public Schools, where they need to go. And our goal is to bring trainings into Milwaukee Public Schools so that we have an opportunity to have them see what we are working with. College Board is also going to be working with us on some materials to make sure that we have that deep rigor that the other IB schools in the programs have as well.
And just so everyone knows, PYP is primary years program for the elementary students, MYP middle years program, and DP is the diploma program. And the diploma program comes with a standard level and a higher level opportunity for students to take it. They also have a career program that I'd love to see embedded within our career pathways as well. It's almost like a NAF certification, but within the IB. So they take some diploma coursework, and then they also take the career coursework.
Wonderful. And Director O'Halloran, a follow-up?
And I just want to put a plug out in case anybody is listening. Pulaski is actually an IB program as well, and I think it gets slept on that they have lots of great programming there, and I think sometimes people will say, I want to do IB, so therefore it's only Reagan or King, and really we have a third school that has that programming, and I think we should do a better job of advertising that, because I know the coordinator over there is really great.
Thank you for that brief advertisement. Any other comments or questions from directors? All right, none. Well, thank you for this update. I just appreciate that you've come to this committee every month to keep us apprised of how we're making changes and how we're updating plans and responding to the feedback that we're getting. It's been a heavy, heavy lift, and I know that it's been one that, I know that everybody is working to the best of their ability to make this the absolute best measure moving forward of how we're making progress with our students with our early grades. So the work to get to that point where we're using this at that measure is it can't be overstated. So I just appreciate everything that you're doing, and thanks to everybody who's shown up at this committee this year, because that has also provided us with a lot to work with. So just big thank yous all around. Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
There being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.